Well, I was hoping no one had noticed. The point was made that the decline in the quality of debate started 15 years ago, which more or less coincides with the time I became a political commentator. The point I made or tried to make about the truth and lies is that the tension is not between the truth and lies. The problem is that we live in a world which recognizes the authority of neither. That's the point I was making. On gender, all forms of oppression and discrimination do the same thing. They teach us that the other is not human or is not fully human. Patriarchy as a system of oppression teaches us the same thing, that the woman is not human or is not fully human or is not as human as the man. And for me, fundamentally, that is the source of the problem you were talking about when you talk about the absence of the voice of the woman, or the low volume of the voice of the woman in public debate generally and political debates in particular. Another thing that systems of oppression and discrimination do is to limit our capacity to free ourselves from the known. And in a way, when I complain about the content of our political debate, in part I'm complaining about the fact that that quality or lack of it is informed by the fact that we refuse to free ourselves from the known, or we lack the capacity to free ourselves from the known. We are content or too content with the known. I didn't talk about narrative integrity. I talked about narrative dignity. When I said that it is not because these voices are silent. They are not. We do not hear them, partly because the bodies from which they come are invisible, and therefore we do not hear them, and therefore they lack narrative dignity. And therefore one of the solutions is to lend narrative dignity to the voices we do not hear or refuse to hear when we pretend that the tweeting class, the chattering classes, the so-called thinking classes, and the mainstream media represent national sentiment.